in the know.
Welcome. Good evening. I'm Miss Jill, and this is In the Know. You hear us talk a lot about the village. So when we say it takes a village, we're not talking about a geographical village per se. We are talking about a network of relationships that connect us and bind us as a people. So when we say village, that's what I think a village is. So tonight we have with us an organization who works hard daily to create that village for us right here in our own community. So I want to welcome Mr. Eric Wood.
Thank you very
Welcome
much.
From NeighborLink, correct?
Thank
Miss
you
V,
very
how
much.
are we tonight?
I'm good, honey.
October came with a bang. Like, it's dark out. It was dark early. I'm like, here we go. Welcome fall. So hello,
I was
October.
ready for a nap like at 4.
I know.
Maybe bedtime.
This is my favorite time of year, though. I'm not going to lie. It absolutely is. So, Eric, welcome.
Thank you.
Would you agree with this statement about the village?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a village to do the things that we all dream of.
Absolutely. And do you feel like NeighborLink is here to help assist with that?
Yeah, I think NeighborLink is actually the connection spot for villages to be produced. You know, I think that a platform that was created over 21 years ago with the idea of neighbors loving neighbors in simple and average ordinary ways is a place, is a starting place to connect relationships that maybe have been disconnected. And surely we know, like in this last season, all the rates and numbers tell us that we're more isolated and more ostracized and more individualized than ever in probably history.
Amen.
So,
Amen. Before we get into the organization and talk a little bit more about it, let's hear a little bit about Eric. Briefly tell us about you and your role in the organization.
how long do you want me to go for? I mean, you know, I grew up in Fort Wayne on the southwest side, and quickly, my wife and I met at 18 and 17. So we've been together almost 26 years and married almost 23 years. And we quickly kind of ran downtown and said, we're going to give our lives away here.
Okay.
So I pastored for a lot of years. We traveled the world for a couple of years with our kids, sold everything here and toured the world, and came back, pastored some more, moved to Maine, pastored some more, did some MMA stuff up there, ran a school system, transportation, said it's time to come home. So 3.5 years ago, we came home, and they were looking for a new executive director, and my plea was, that's just who we are. Would you let us come along?
Yeah. Well, that's definitely the short version, I can tell.
You've done
a lot.
trying to give you.
You did a great job.
I mean,
you did a great
Yeah,
job.
he definitely.
Yeah.
Because I heard some of this good stuff. Yeah, and so a whole lot of amazing stories and phenomenal things, unexpected things.
yeah, it feels
that
like we've
happened
lived
along
several
the way.
lives.
Yes.
you know?
Yeah. If someone came to you, well, if I'm going to come to you and I'm going to ask you, what is NeighborLink?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a platform for connection, those in need and those that can help. And it's a whiteboard. It's a spot that you can find out where needs exist and who they are, and then meet your neighbor. It's also a place for anyone, low barrier entry, to ask for help. So it could be from the simplest of yard need to the most complex of ramps, accessibility in the home, roofs, furnaces, and more. But the goal is not just the work. The work is easy. It's real. People's needs are really important. I think a lot of times when we think about serving, we want to serve from our spot of what's comfortable.
Yeah.
But NeighborLink invites people to come to those that have made themselves in their embarrassment and in vulnerability, say, please meet me in my specific need.
Yes.
Not what maybe you want to do for me. And it reminds us of being human and how to build friendship along the way.
Yeah. And I think that's huge.
And before you leave that, I was going to say one of the things that kind of stood out to me about NeighborLink, obviously the link in the name matters, but that you had a passion to not just connect people, but to connect churches.
Yeah.
So how's that working out?
So, I mean, I think it's a beautiful, hard, hopeful story.
Okay.
The reason why NeighborLink even exists is that John Barst, the founder and president, was like, man, we need to get back to neighboring. This is a thing of Jesus. This isn't just a good idea. This is Jesus's idea. And it's a command. And so let's invite the church back into neighboring and loving their neighbor in, proximity and presence with patience over the long haul. I think the church in America right now in the West is program based and is often picking up the themes of culture rather than being a counterculture. And so when we say, hey, we want you to do NeighborLink, we're not really inviting people to a new program, or we're inviting people to a way of life.
Yes.
And so we're inviting the local church to live differently. It's like an old new,
Okay.
the old way of Jesus in a new way here in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when you say that in connecting churches, are you looking for churches to, let's just say, step up with the labor
Yeah.
as well as the love?
Yeah, I mean, I think labor and love. I think that's a great way to say that. The folks who are inviting us are the most vulnerable. Oftentimes, matriarchs, single moms, grandmas, great grandmas, military veterans, elderly, disabled, hard stint in life, and they're saying come over, but often coming over means not just the work. The labor is the first. It's like getting through the front door, but behind the front door is a human. I got a call from a woman a few years ago, said, can you mow my daughter's lawn? I said, absolutely, I'll be over. She's like, also, she's 34 and she's dying of cancer. Can you sit on her bed and pray for her? She doesn't have a pastor. And so I think it's the first step is just to go, but then if we're going, let's go with love, because I think that's where the sweet things happen, where I've been brought into a relationship that was stranger, then it was a neighbor, then it was friend, then it was like family, simply because I didn't just come for the job. I wouldn't do less than the job that was asked, the labor that was asked, but there was something more waiting for me. And that was always the surprise, and the gift is what was waiting beyond the work.
It reminds me when you hear your gift will make room for you. And you said there's so much more. The labor is just one part. I remember a lady said to you that you were like the first white person, right?
Yeah.
That she befriended or trusted.
Yeah, at 68.
Yes. That is amazing in itself.
Yeah, I would say that's happened multiple times.
There's something about you outside of the selflessness, but there's something major. There's something big that people see when they see you, when they meet you.
I think so. I got done mowing. This probably defines that. I don't think it's me. I think the humility of Jesus, the presence of Jesus, the Spirit of Jesus does work that I don't get to do. I don't have capacity for. I got done mowing. There were 4 black men smoking weed, drinking at 11 a.m. on a street corner. And I told the guy I was with, I was like, I'm going to go hang out over there. And he's like, I'm going home. And and so, I was dressed pretty nice, mowing a lawn. I wasn't like set for work.
Yeah.
And I went over there to the curb, and right at the curb, I said, hey, can I hang out? I didn't walk on the grass first. I just said, can I hang out? And it was like I was on a playground again as a little kid. My wife is like so nervous. I always find a way to get on. Yeah, Mandy's always
Mandy.
like, she's like, can you just chill for a minute? I'm like, no, there's only one way that I know how to live. So they said, sure, begrudgingly. And then I walk up there, and they start telling me stories of the murders and the violence and the brokenness, and inviting me into their person from the general story of the streets and the kids that are getting caught up in it, to their own personal story. While the one guy's still dealing on the right, they're rolling logs in front of me, and I'm just like, this is so beautiful, and I'm in, and then they offer me a chair, and they tell me about the brokenness of their own family story, and then I said, hey, what's the answer for the north, south, black, white, rich, and poor? And the guys just said, a member of a gang here in town. Why don't we just have a meal on the block and see what happens? That was the best answer from any sociologist, politician, pastor, community leader that I'd ever heard. often the beautiful things of Jesus were transformative around a table.
That's
Yes.
right.
And so we started having those table conversations, and from there, he told me, I thought you were either a Mormon or an undercover cop. And if you were either, you weren't going home that day. But the follow through was, we'd never had a white man ask for permission. You've only taken.
Oh my.
And that led me to the other
Wow.
woman who said, I don't have any white friends. That's why my kids think there's a thief in the house when you walked in.
Yeah.
We thought
Yes.
they thought something bad was happening. But Eric, I've never ridden in a car with a white person until you. And she still reminds me of how that's transformed both of us. But that's happened multiple times, and that's why I think like the invitation of NeighborLink is so beautiful, because it's invitation to more.
Yes.
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 I love that.
Yes. I saw
Invitation to
somewhere, you had done I'm sure you've done more than one, but I read about the wheelchair ramp. And so, when you said the labor is what gets us there, because obviously somebody needed a wheelchair ramp, right? But tell us a little bit about the wheelchair ramp, because I don't know the story, but just by listening to you talk, obviously you built the ramp. But tell us a little bit more about that, because we know that you didn't just build the ramp and leave and just do the labor.
Well, there's a group of retirees in Fort Wayne that are cross-denominational. They're both Catholic and Protestant, and every Tuesday they get together and they serve.
Okay.
And they do between 65 and 100 ramps a year in Fort Wayne and in the area. And I think they have just committed to being faithful in the shadows where people lack accessibility. And I think that conversation, the amount of ramps has gone up. It's ramped up.
Yes.
And as that's ramped up, the reality is that getting people in and out of their homes is a sweet gift. But what if they can't get around their home, go to the bathroom,
Sure.
get into the shower, have a bath? Those are the joys that I have. Wouldn't we want more for them also? So sitting in that story, or finding out how somebody was disabled or lifelong disability, and they're not just, their identity isn't disabled. They're human and they have the potential to be my friend.
Correct.
And I think a lot of the stories is the surprise of what happens again when I see someone as human. We do a ramp or fix a railing or remodel a bathroom. There is friendship waiting, and those tend to be some of my favorite relationships. And I think for me, when I come to a table for this conversation, I bring my friends with me, and my friends are the ones informing me of the conversation. I'm not getting this from distance. And I think a lot of times people want to see transformation of the village from distance, but darkness isn't dispelled by distance of light. Light must be present and proximate for darkness to flee. So many people talk from a distance. That's not loving.
Yeah.
That's
And it's easy to do. It's easy to talk
cheap.
from a distance because you're not in the village. So we can say a lot from afar. That's very simple. Someone that did some volunteer work, because I want to talk a little bit about members of NeighborLink and volunteers per se. I saw someone said that this made them feel like they were doing tangible, leaving a or making a tangible impact. And with these, they call them simple acts of kindness that sound simple, but to the person that you're doing them for, they're not simple at all. So let's talk about that, making a tangible impact in the community.
Yeah, I think for a long time, part of the mission of NeighborLink has always been tangible acts of God's love, small acts of God's love. And it may look small,
Yes.
but for many people, it's something they don't have an answer for. And I think it says something really special. So inclusion, which I think is the cheapest form of opportunity, is I'm including you at the table. When you get to the table, I want to hear what you have to say. But belonging says you matter when you're not here. In fact, you're missed. And your voice is still at the table when you're not here. And I think
That's good.
I think when we talk about the small acts of God's love, the tangible acts, when somebody says they don't have an answer for a light bulb, their whole house is dark. She's 80 some years old. It's not their electricity. It's that she doesn't have the capacity or the friendship or the family that can come and just change some light bulbs out. that's a story of a lack of belonging. It's a story where like I have family and friends, but I don't have the family and friends that will show up for me here.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that is the tangible move right there is they're not saying, I don't have people.
Yes.
I just don't have the people that can jump in here.
Yes.
And that's a wonderful invitation
Yeah.
that does make tangible impact.
And when you say that, Kevin Chandler,
Yeah.
you're talking about tangible.
Mm-hmm.
You literally, why don't you tell about what you do on Monday morning?
Yeah, so Monday's turned into Thursday, but it's Kevin's my friend, so I want to honor that.
Yeah.
Kevin's invited me to get him out of bed and help serve him and his wife out of friendship, and get him ready for the day. And for almost 3.5 years, that's what I do every week, outside of him traveling or me traveling. But he's my literal neighbor. Mm-hmm. He's like a street or two removed from us, and he said, "Hey, man, if you don't really want to do this, you don't have to do this." I said, "No, man. To like know that I should love my neighbor and not to love my neighbor feels like sin.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
you're around the corner and I can't help you.
Literally my neighbor.
Yeah, you're literally my neighbor." And Mandy will say, like, you do a really good job loving people in the hood, but man, you have a hard time loving your neighbor and where you live. And I would say that's just my bend anyway. It is easier for me. I have a bigger burden to be friends with the margins. Those are the outcasted or isolated or ostracized. Like I want to live there. But Kevin allows me and invites me in to be friends with him and get him up. But what happened is this dance. It's he receives my service, and I receive his encouragement and his listening and
his
friendship. And so it's a reciprocal dance that I think is very rare. I think a lot of times we're going to go help these people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what if those people that we're helping actually are also helping us?
Yes.
It's that giving and receiving that is lacked in the village for a while.
For sure. Right. And you wonder, do you think, obviously you're making an impact on him. Do you think that he understands the feeling that you have when you leave?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The reality is, it's just so reciprocal.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's a better gift to me than I am him.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's something that, I don't want to Hollywood all this. Like, and I don't, there are hundreds and thousands of people doing good work throughout the city and the area that are doing this. But I really love my piece that I play. I just love becoming friends with strangers that I didn't know I would do life with all the way home.
Yes, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about One City Week. I know on October 1st, you had something called One City Together, and then there was One City Worship. On October 3rd and 4th, One City Prayer. October 5th, One City Serve. October 6th, One City Word, but it's all called One City Week. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff King and Love Fort Wayne's put that together with the 24/7 prayer movement that's going to be happening in San Francisco. And they've invited us along to do the serve part on Saturday, and we're asking local churches to jump in the gap. There'll be worship, and there's going to be prayer, and there's going to be time together, and there's going to be speakers. There's going to be churches doing the work together of the word and having one similar message throughout the city, which, quite frankly, like, I'm not really involved in that at that level, but that has been a dream since I was a kid in this city. The city of churches is actually like a joke in a lot of ways.
Yes,
it was used to woo people back into a town that was full of debauchery back in 100 years ago. It was actually a marketing scheme, and we've owned it as like a pride. But the reality is it lacks substance.
Yes.
And so now seeing what's happening at Love Fort Wayne and other churches in the last several years, and the prayer movement that's been going on for about 40 years in the background, I think we're now tasting and seeing some of the fruit of that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So on the website, it says NeighborLink, neighbors in need can connect to neighbors who want to help. So my next question is, let's talk about how to get involved if you are that neighbor who wants to help. And let's talk about how to reach out if you are that neighbor in need.
Yeah, I mean, if I can get this number right. So it's 260-376-2405. You can text that number, I need help, or I can help, and immediately it'll prompt you to jump in. Okay.
So you think it's 260-376-2405.
I am really
Okay.
sure of that.
Okay.
But if you text a random person, I'm so sorry.
I need help.
Yeah, we just started this a little over a month ago. We have a new technology director who helped build the platform for over 15 years, but now he's on staff. And so we have the freedom to simplify and lower the barrier quicker because of his being a part of the team at NeighborLink. So if you want to help, you can go to the website, nlfw.org or neighborlink.org, and you can just click I can help, and it'll walk you through the process. It's 3 steps: who you are, how'd you hear about us, and then a background check. Once you're approved, because we want to make sure that the right people are going to the right homes, then you have freedom to choose different kinds of projects, the proximity of where you live, and you begin to have the freedom. This is the difference of NeighborLink is you're not waiting for us to lead you.
Okay.
We will help you. We will walk with you. The goal is that you take ownership over your neighboring, and you get to meet the neighbors on the platform.
Okay.
And so I can help, sign up, background check. We can either pay for it or you can pay for it. And then from there, once you're approved, you have the freedom to choose from hundreds of homes that are asking you for simple, everyday, skilled, or contracted needs.
Okay.
So all 3 options. So if you're like a mom, single mom, and you're like, man, I can't give much, there are options for you. If you're a little older and you're like, I don't have the skill sets, but I can sit with someone, there are options for you. If I'm a laborer and I can do construction, there are options for you. If you're into bathroom remodels for accessibility, we need you because, again, people in and out of their house is a great gift of inclusion, but it's not belonging. And belonging is I can go to the bathroom easily or take a shower easily. And when someone writes us and say they haven't been to the shower or bath in 3 years, they've only been wiped down because they can't get in the bathroom. That should not be said in a city of churches or people that say they love this city.
Absolutely.
So the other side of that is I need help. So 260-376-2405. See, I've said it so many times now.
Gotta
I'm
be
nailing
it.
It's it.
Gotta be it.
Or some random stranger. God bless you, stranger. But I need help. There is no qualifier to asking for help. So whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever's going on, you can simply ask for help. And it's 3 things. Who are you? What's your circumstance? What do you need? Then we take that in and approve it, and it goes onto the platform. The only caveat to that is we have hundreds of homes asking for help. The guarantee isn't that it gets done. The guarantee is it gets posted.
Okay.
And I would say this to all of those that have capacity to help. Every one of us do. Every one of us do. We do 12 to 1,400 projects a year in Fort Wayne, a little bit more in the region.
Okay.
This map is now open to the world. Anybody can ask for anything from anywhere. Anybody can help from wherever they are.
Wow.
This is a beautiful gift. We want to make it a gift. NeighborLink wants to make it a gift to anyone and everyone, to connect neighbors, to create villages, and make new communities. So that's a beautiful thing. But the caveat about NeighborLink is there's no guarantee.
Yeah.
It's actually a reproach on a city when there's hundreds of homes saying we need help.
Of course.
So if you say I need help and you raise your hand and you embarrass yourself, like, hey, I just can't get this done, you're telling the churches and those that care and those that say that they care, those that are on social media saying that they care and they want a better city and they want better neighborhoods, and they're like going on the Nextdoor app, not the NeighborLink app, and they're talking about their neighbor and the raccoon and the trash and talking about gossip
Everything.
column, of whatever area. It's a reproach to us who say that we love a city that there are hundreds of needs. So there's no guarantee someone shows up, but there is a guarantee that gets posted, that it's seen, that you're seen. And our prayer is that hundreds and thousands, if 100 people did one project a month, that's 1,200 more than we've ever done a year.
Yeah.
Just one a month.
Yeah. And that kind of plays into my next question is what do you need from the community? What do you, because when you said there's no guarantee it's going to get, we're going to get to it, but would it be fair to say there is a guarantee that there's always going to be someone who needs help? There's always, no matter where we go, I see it every day with the business that I'm in, people who need help but are, like you said several times, embarrassed, ashamed, for whatever the reason. But what do you need from us if you could plead to the community right now? What would you ask for?
Stop talking. Stop posting. And do what's in front of you. It shouldn't be a big deal that I or we do what we do. It's only a big deal because we're not doing it together. The reason why it's so, when somebody talks about me or our staff or another volunteer, is it's rare because it is, and it shouldn't be. We don't actually want you to need the NeighborLink app.
Yeah.
We want you to grow out of needing it.
Sure.
I think a man was doing a sermon I was listening to on the way here. He was getting ready for his Sunday morning, riding his bike. He went past hundreds of strangers, and he goes, the Western world says, that's fine. Just walk on by, ride on by. Don't make eye contact. Don't say anything. But the way of Jesus under the kingdom is stop. Be aware. Be available. Love the person in front of you, to the left of you, to the right of you, to the front or the back of you. So stop talking, stop posting, stop saying, man, the politician's going to fix it. The pastor's going to fix it. The community leader's going to fix it. There's one hero. His name's Jesus. He's invited us to be neighbors in our everyday ordinary, and he is waiting for us to say yes, shut our mouths, and do the work.
Period.
I love that.
Period.
I mean, I love that. Stop talking. Stop posting. Start doing. I mean, that's very, very deep. You had mentioned the phone number, which we think is the 260-376-2405. Could you drop the website again, or any other place on social media that someone could get more information?
Yeah, NLFW, so neighborlinkfortwayne.org, NLFW.org, or neighborlink.org. Both will send you the same place. Click I need help or I can't help. We wanted to make it really simple. 2 options on this platform. Okay. And either ask for help or start helping. Okay. And there's obviously other options on there, but we tried to limit the information. We are over-informed and under-living.
Yes.
So we have not been doing a lot of informing on our platform. We're inviting to live. And so you can go to Facebook. You can go to NeighborLink if you do want to get back on all that stuff after I just said get off of it and stop talking. But you can see the stories of other people living that life.
Yes. Yes.
And maybe get encouraged and spurred on, because the folks that are doing the work, I get to talk about the work. Yeah. While I live this way, oftentimes I'm the talker, the visionary, the voice, but there are boatloads of people living this way that you're not alone in this.
Yes.
This burden you have is waiting for you to jump into.
Yes. Wow. I will say, with your Facebook page, I was on there today. That's where I saw the story for the wheelchair ramp. And as I was scrolling through, there are hundreds of stories. And it really is encouraging. I also want to say it's very eye-opening to the amount of people that need help. So next, I would like, we kind of made a plea to the community on what we should do, but what about those people that are maybe watching or have heard of NeighborLink who are ashamed to ask for help? They are embarrassed to ask for help. And like you said, they're not saying, I have no one. They're saying, I have no one who can help me address this. Right. What do you say to those people who need the help, that just they're not asking for it? That they're afraid, to swallow that pride and say that I need that.
Yeah, so my wife and I were walking one night, and I know our time's running short, so I'll make it as short as I can. I saw an overgrown yard. I went to the door. Hey man, can I do this for you? No, I'm not trying to mock you or devalue you. I just see, obviously you're busy. So can I just help love you in this way? And he said, no, man, I got this. I'm a pastor, I'm a contractor, and I just had triple bypass. And this is why we're dying, is we're afraid to ask for help. And so don't let pride get in the way of pleading for someone to show up. Like, we all got stuff. We're all a mess. No one's exempt from this story.
Yes.
And so, but here's what I'll say. And the outside of your home probably is telling an inward story. And for you that drive by those houses and call the city code, would you stop and show up and maybe check in on them? Whether they say yes or no, it doesn't matter if they allow you to do the work. Do the first work of just getting to meet the person behind the stuff you're seeing. But if you're in a spot where you're embarrassed, shoot, man, we're all embarrassed. We're all messy. We're all falling short. We all have need. I would say you're the heroes if you're willing to be bold enough to invite people into your home. And by God's grace, someone would show up.
That's so good. That's so
That
true.
pretty much leads us
Wow.
right out. Eric, I want to thank you not just for being here with us and sharing stories with us, but for all that you do, that you've been called to do, for all the serving that you do in many different ways. You are seen, you are appreciated. So thank you for sharing that love. And thank you for being here with us.
Yeah,
and thank you for being here with us. And as always, we want to remind you to always protect your mind. And we will see you tomorrow, I believe. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
A podcast
Thank you guys.
by Neutral Voices Media Group. In the Know.